Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Geoff Davis, it says on the screen, foolishly. I am Chief Strategy Officer for Hariba Myra. So many of you may or may not know Hariba Myra, formerly known as Myra, is a large engineering and testing consultancy and also an R&D location, and it's only about 10 miles north of here. But I'm here today with my Auto Council hat on. So I'm co-chair of the Automotive Council CAM working group, so the Connected Autonomous Mobility Working Group. And I'm here today to talk to you about our thoughts and latest thinking about the next phases of the CAM journey, particularly for the UK, and how it's starting to transition from research into commercialization. And that's where we need to focus. How do we move from R&D activity and blue skies R&D activity and start to move towards commercialization, where we can start to see an economic benefit. Before I go into the sort of the content, I just want to maybe give you all a reminder of who Auto Council are and what we do. So it's a group that's co-led by government and industry to advise on UK industrial strategy for automotive, for industrial policy for the automotive sector. I would say historically that automotive definition was very clear and traditional. It's now been certainly challenged, particularly with CAM, because we're moving away from four-door passenger cars through to pods and all sorts of integrated mobility solutions. But we're actively involved trying to prop up or try and support the development of the CAM ecosystem within the UK, irrespective of whether it's a pure pass car play or any other form of mobility. Auto Council has two primary missions over the last, certainly over the last 5 years whilst I've been involved. Transition to zero, net zero, and also the implementation of connected and autonomous mobility technology. And it's the latter that I co-lead with my colleague Dave Skip from Ford. And our job is to promote the socio-economic case and determine the critical enablers required for the UK to lead and develop and deploy CAM from 2025. That's been our vision statements for some 4 years, and that's what we're working with some of you, colleagues from AESIN and other members of industry to try and form those opinions. Okay, so let's start in terms of where we've come from. So I've been involved with this for about 4 years, and we've come a long way. We started circa 4 years ago looking at the Traveller's Needs study that had been previously published by the Catapult, that outlined the social and economic opportunity for enhanced mobility within the UK. We started to recognise that connectivity and artificial intelligence were really opening up a new paradigm of thinking and challenges when it comes to sort of engineering and developing these technologies and products. And it needed different thinking in terms of a legislative and a regulative perspective. And then we also worked together to present to government what we call the Gravitas proposal, which resulted in significant investment to support collaborative R&D in the UK in this sector, and also to build out the test infrastructure, which is now being built and finished across a number of sites in the UK. And then more recently, what we've been doing, we've been helping working with our colleagues in CCAV and Zenzik to really understand the challenges that we will see in the coming period and the government intervention that we will require. The test beds are now open and operational, and there's been multiple successful waves of collaborative R&D over the last 4 years or so that have helped further develop the technology, deploy demonstrators, and get us to the position now where we are really looking at how we develop commercialization. And more recently, we were successful in the recent spending review to secure funding for further collaborative R&D for this sector. So that's where we've been and where we've come to and where we are today. But really, we're looking at what the next step is. And the next step is to redefine the path to commercialization. We were given very clear instruction by the Minister that they wanted to see greater focus on how we commercialize the technologies that we've been working on over the last 5 to 10 years, and also enable the economic opportunities for this technology. So we've been asked to focus in this particular space to know how we move from early prototype and R&D activity to deployment. And that's where our focus is now. But we need to know where we're going. So this is a bit of a simplistic view of our pathway, where we are today and where we've got to get to. So we use a 2050 UK transport vision as our destination, as our end point. That's where we need to land in years to come. And we need to determine how can CAM support that vision. And we have it. We have a CAM proposition, why the world wants CAM, and what CAM can do for the world, and it's here on the screen. I'll just briefly walk you through it. So now we're convinced that CAM will transform transport design and the travel experience for users. Not only is it a human travel play, but also it's a goods and logistics play as well. And there will be significant efficient improvements and economical gains by focusing on both logistics and humans. There's an economic benefit here. There is certainly a domestic and international supply and deployment chain opportunity, which we have been working on throughout this year to further understand. And there's a report coming out from our colleagues from Zenzik at LCV show in a couple of weeks' time, which I encourage you to read. It will also give us increased transport productivity across the entire UK economy. There are clearly benefits from a sort of safety, security, and a resilience perspective. Now, we believe we can minimize injury and death by eliminating the human driver from the loop, ultimately. That is our goal. And there are benefits beyond the automotive sector. Often the automotive sector leads in facing challenges, and if we can take the know-how and the technology we're developing in the auto sector, we can move it across to other mobility sectors and other industries where they can benefit from what we've learned and developed over the years. And then it also plays a part in the net zero carbon agenda as well. We have evidence that, if CAM is considered in part of the holistic design of either a system or infrastructure or product, then it can support the net zero carbon agenda. But we also then need to look nearer term. So we use the Zenzik 2025-2030 CAM roadmap and supply chain analysis to work out what CAM needs to achieve more specifically in the short and medium term and where the UK can best create value. And we do have a value proposition. It comes in two parts. So on the left-hand side first, this is a virtual circle of the value waiting to be exploited. We have the physical and cyber resilience, physical and cyber system resilience area. Now, the UK has significant expertise in this place. It's critical to ensuring we have a safe and reliable and resilient CAM solution and services. And it will inform how the new legal and regulatory insurance frameworks work. And that's also an area where the UK has strength. And this is all necessary to secure public trust and have a successful CAM service operation. But we're convinced that without coordination and intervention, this virtual circle just doesn't work. And in fact, it actually becomes a vicious circle where we potentially have conflicts and ultimately we lose public trust. And we are convinced that securing public trust is going to be vital for us to be successful in delivering our CAM vision. And on the right-hand side, we then have a product proposition. The UK has many strengths, and this is either in services, tools, techniques, intellectual property, products that can really be used to help enable that value chain on the left-hand side. And then third and last, based on where we are today and where we need to be in the next sort of 5 to 10 years, we need to work out where there are market failures and where additional industry and government intervention is needed to plug a gap. When I say we, I'm talking about the wider industry and the collective that supports these discussions. And we all pool upon our learnings and our experience to fine-tune our approach. And this will be the focus of the Auto Council over the next couple of years. I'll give you some insight in some more the next slides, but the key topics are early commercialization, regulation and resilience, supply chain and skills. This is what we've been working on predominantly this year, and we will deliver reports and insight on by the end of the year to hope to further enhance the Auto Council's opinion on how we should potentially intervene in this sector. So if I firstly look at the early commercialization pathway, there are a number of interventions that we are considering at the moment, but really we're considering a number of key factors. So focus on really on customers' needs and opportunities. There are certainly constrained industrial applications are close to market or already in the market. How can we help further those, enhance those, accelerate those? We are looking at how we can highlight other commercially viable CAM opportunities and help them develop an investment proposition that is attractive. We need to plan for success. So we want to ensure that we lead in development of global standards in the UK that will achieve the removal of the safety driver ultimately. We do need to engage in transparent public engagement to secure the public's trust on this technology and our approach to it, so they can appreciate the fundamental safety approach that we will take. We need to convene across sectors to share the technology and the learning and the business opportunities that we identify. We need to identify the next up technology challenges that we must overcome to realize the early commercialization opportunities that we seek. And we also need to help our colleagues develop the right legislation at the right time. So the right legislation that allows us to deploy early commercialization, recognizing that legislation will need to change as the technology matures and deployment increases. Looking at the regulation and resilience pathway, we need a clear pathway and focus to allow us to go from early deployment through to more advanced deployment and larger deployment. We need to also recognize that this is not just about passenger cars or human movement. There's a significant opportunity, particularly in the UK, around logistics and industry. Support existing work streams that are going on, looking at regulation, looking at the supply chain within government. And also ensure we pick up on off-highway opportunities where there is significant benefit and opportunity for UK. And then how we can accelerate the deployment, remove barriers that may hinder deployment, accelerate to standards where required, and also try and enable the virtuous circle between simulation, validation, and verification. And then finally, supply chain and skills pathway. We have been working with our colleagues at Zenzik, discussing the need for support, looking at the supply chain. Now, we really want the UK to focus on those high-value propositions, whilst also supporting the existing automotive footprint and manufacturing footprint, and leverage the strengths we have in the UK. I mentioned some already. There's a particular piece of work looking at the engineering services strategy, which is something we think the UK can really lead in this space, in terms of design and validation of safe and resilient CAM solutions, and build on that, what we call an unfair advantage we have in the UK, where we have significant strength in areas such as cyber, simulation, tools, test beds, and also a regulatory understanding. Looking at the critical infrastructure required and resilience and trade, there are some great connected transport system opportunities within the UK which will deploy CAM. Looking at the sovereignty issue, so that we aren't held to ransom from a supply chain perspective going forwards, so that we also understand or have some control over the real critical parts of the supply chain that support CAM in the UK. And understanding the global trade spheres when we look at Europe, Americas, and China. And then finally, skills. This comes up all the time. We don't have enough of the right people for the roles that we need to help deliver our CAM vision. So there's specific work going on at looking at how we can work amongst industry and academia, further enhancing the skills base. So that's some of our activities to date, and certainly for this year. For the remainder of the event, please, if you'd like to talk to me about any Auto Council activity, please come and find me. I'll happily, I'm here all afternoon, so I'll happily discuss with you. And feel free to contribute. You do contribute through AESIN, but we're also welcome to hear the voices of the individual organisations that you represent. And then finally, just like to thank some of the key organisations that do support the Auto Council with this work stream. Thank you very much.